Okay, I think we are ready to do another one. Having some problems with the mark in regards of Jesus God Almighty and all that. But anyway, the watermark. But anyway, let's go on. Camera. There we go. Little big, but anyway, we'll fix that. And can't actually, it won't even go over. Typical, anyway, should be pretty good. And of course, turn it a little round away from the sun. And I got some food, and I guess I'm ready to take a little more. Literary notices of miscellaneous, or something like that. I can't even remember how to spell that. Let's get into it. Miscellaneous. There we go. Miscellaneous. So, literary notices of miscellaneous. Maybe I should just turn around here. And fix a pillow over there. And there we go. No sun in it. Okay. Okay. Miscellaneous. The following are selected from a large number of notices received since the preceding were in type. I guess in regards to the book, From the so-called Reverend Doctors Ayton and McGuinness, professors in Hamilton Literary and Theological Seminary. Hamilton Literary and Theological Seminary, November 10th, 1845. Interesting how they all write the date and all that. Anyway, I have with some care looked through Dowling's History of Romanism and am prepared to express a decidedly favorable opinion of its merits. I guess merits, that's an interesting... Uh-oh. Where did we go? Not too far. There we go. And this is a little problematic in regards of, showing any admirable quality or attribute. So merit. Okay, where do I have the... I did have a pen for the mobile. That's just a little more easier than sit with. I might have taken it into the bed. There we go. Always good with a pencil, right? So it makes things a little easier. So there we go. Merits. Okay, virtue, worth, and all that. Yeah, let's go here. So. No facts in history are better authenticated than those Mr. Dowling has collected and arranged in this volume, so to illustrate the principle and spirit of Romanism. His authorities are unquestionable and may be confidently relied on. And the whole work, with its various illustrations, faithful as they are to the fact and truth, gives a just view of the prominent and characteristic features of that giant form of spiritual wickedness and despotism so graphically delineated by the pen of inspiration and so frightfully developed in the history of the Romish hierarchy. In the present day, when Romanism under various guises is making such extraordinary efforts to regain its lost power, in regards of the lost power of the great, protest that came about, around 500 years ago. Its lost power, and efforts to regain its lost power. and extend its dominion over the nations of the earth, and especially over our own favored land. Its past history should be familiarly known and well understood. It claims to be infallible and unchangeable. And its history clearly shows that however it may vary its outward aspect to suit the circumstances and temper of the times, in its principles and spirit, it has truly remained unchanged. And from age to age, amid all the changes and vicissitudes of the world's history, that's a big word again. That's vicissitudes. Vicissitude, a variation in let's see how it's. Vicissitude, a variation in circumstances or fortune of different times in your life or in the development of something. Excuse me. I guess that's the meat barking. Anyway, mutable in life or nature, especially successive alternation from one condition to another. Yeah. Any case, so graphically, okay, where we are. Okay, well, vicissitudes of the world's history. It has from the time of its first casting its stark and ominous, that's an interesting word as well. And there we go with the problem again, where it doesn't really take, the word. Indicating evil intent. Ominous. Indicating evil intent or suggesting tragic development. Ominous. Okay, so it has from the time of its first casting its dark and ominous shadow upon Christendom down to the present day preserved its fearful identity. I am happy therefore to learn that Mr. Dowling's authentic history is meeting with a rapid sale and an extensive circulation. The Protestant public owe him many thanks for his work, which possesses a high value and must be one of the standard references. An armory work which possesses a high value and must be one of standard reference. Oh, sorry about that. I reread. So, a word which possesses a high value and must be one of the standard references. An armory, hence to draw weapons to battle with the beast. They knew. They read their Bibles. They knew. Beast, Antichrist, Hall of Revelation, they knew where it was to be found. And in my opinion, a fearful battle is hence to... Beast. And in my opinion, a fearful battle is approaching. I'm not sure why. It's like it's a little, So anyway... So, an armory, hence to draw weapons to battle with the beast. And in my opinion, a fearful battle is approaching. It's like the letters is like, anyway. George W. Ayton, Professor of Civil and Ecclesiastical History, Hamilton Literary and Theological Seminary. I have examined the so-called Reverend Mr. Dowling's History of Romanism and fully concur in the above recommendations of Professor Eaton. J.S. McGuinness, Professor of Biblical Theology. Yeah, okay. So, we have from the Millennial Harbinger, published at Bethany, Virginia, and edited by the celebrated Alexander Campbell, the able and learned antagonist of Robert Owen on infidelity, and of Bishop Purcell on poobery. Okay, so In this work are abridged views of Romanism and all its prominent characteristics and immense assemblance. And by the way, one of the sources that I got from Roman Catholics was called something in regards to the Great Red Dragon, although it had more titles than one. I think 2 titles at least. I have the book somewhere. You can actually get those for free as well. That's some interesting reading as well. But anyway, that's I guess that I don't know, but it was the Catholics that ended up there was like 10 sources or something like that has been most damaging to Roman Catholicism, although we have to be careful about that. But anyway, one of the sources was that book, which was said to be a fleeing Roman Catholic that ends up fleeing to England, Protestant England, and there he writes his book about all the abominations and his story and all the. Anyway, let's go back. Sorry, that was a side note. Well, I think it was called the Great Red Dragon. I think it has another title as well. I need to look into that in regards to best version as well, but that's again more information on. Anyway. There's a huge amount of information out there, and one have to wonder why it hasn't been filmatized, or promoted. Why are we getting all this bullshit out of the television? Well, maybe because those that controls the television and what is getting out there of garbage is actually Roman Catholics and working for this insanity institution. Anyway, let's go forward. In this work are abridged views of Romanism and all its prominent characteristics, an immense assemblance of facts and documents connected with the development and history of this great mammoth institution of error and iniquity, which is lawlessness. Just another word for lawlessness. We can look it up. Just another word for lawlessness, but let's have a look what it says in the dictionary. Immense absence of moral or spiritual values. Okay, they don't really, and unjust act. Well, it's lawlessness, But anyway, they don't really use the word lawless, evil, immorality, wickedness, evil doing. Well, that'll go as well with me in regards of absence of moral or spiritual values, darkness, wickedness, condition, statute. Well, it is lawlessness, isn't it? Anyway, in the Greek it says ounomos, and ounomos means no or not. And in regards of nomos, and nomos is law, so you have no or not law. Those that are without the law, I think actually could be a better translation. But anyway, I don't know enough Greek and Hebrew to do, but just a little bit here and there. Anyway, just the surface of Hebrew. I'm better at Hebrew than Greek, but that's still a long, long way. Morally objectionable behaviors, evil, immorality, wickedness, evil doing, transgression, and unjust act, and injustice, shabbiness, unfairness, actu reus, misconduct, wrongdoing, wrongful conduct, and so forth. Anyway, let's go. So in this work, I abridge. Okay, we actually already think, but let's just take it from that. In this work, I abridge views of Romanism and all its prominent characteristics, and immense assemblage of facts and documents connected with the development and history of this great mammoth institution of error and iniquity. Pulbury is developed in this treatise from its birth to the present hour. Its various and numerous errors are traced to their origin. We have in it Pulbury in its origin, in its glory, in its decline, and in its present preternatural efforts to save itself from ruin. Well, it's not only, it's actually taking over the whole world, And so it is that, system of the devil, which is... which he uses. But of course, at some point, the bad, poisonous darnel will be burned, and the good eatable wheat will be taken into the barn of Jesus. So, So I would expect that Rome and will be destroyed first. But anyway, we'll see. And then afterwards, But anyway, preternatural. Let's see.
Preternatural.
Preternatural. Surpassing the ordinary or normal. Preternatural. Existing outside of or not in accordance with nature. Okay, let's go back. Okay. So preternatural efforts to save itself from ruin. Okay, I guess, preternatural efforts to save itself from ruin. Satan is, I guess. Anyway, the world's midnight from AD 800 to Gregory the 7th, 1803 is portrayed. Also the same in regards to the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages was the time where we were not allowed to read the Bible, as far as I understand. So that is and then they try to whitewash that as well, but we're taking into the Dark Ages, and as I understand it, the beginning of the Dark Ages is in regards to 325, and then it just goes into, the Dark Ages, and we come out of the Dark Ages around 1500 in regards of Martin Luther, and others who takes us out of this wicked deep darkness. Anyway, but we have, we don't know any. Yeah, we don't care about that. Let's just go into another Dark Age, right? Anyway, we have in it, because a lot of Roman Catholics see the Dark Ages as the days of the Great Light, So they love that. They love the Dark Ages. Well, those actually wanting truth and all that, don't want to go into another of removing of documents, censoring documents, censoring the truth. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go into another one of those. Okay. Anyway, we have it in Popery, in its origin, in its glory, in its decline, and in its present preternatural efforts to save itself from ruin. I think it's a little more than actually efforts to save itself at that point. I think it actually is at that point. I don't know. I would need more history, but look at it in our days, It is, I guess there was a point where it was, but looking at how the world is now gathering around the papacy in these days, I don't think there's anything in regards of efforts to save itself, because it's already is having so much power in the world in our days. And they are just heading for the so-called New World Order, which is pretty much just the old world order in regards to the Dark Ages, where the papacy had full control over everything. Now, this will probably be an old world order on steroids in regards of being now the whole of the world being under the wings of the Antichrist and the devil. Anyway, so 1083 is portrayed Popery in England, the Waldenses, the Albigenses, the Protestant Reformation, the Inquisition, the Council of Trent, with a vivid account of the great reformers and opponents of the advances of this man of sin, together with the present condition of Popery in Europe and America, constitute the prominent topics in this interesting and elegant volume. And of course, in regards of the Waldensians and Albigensians, it's nice to know the truth about them and not all that Roman bullshit. Anyway, let's go on. We desire for this book a very large, how can you have a so-called Protestant priester, who doesn't even talk against the Antichrist? Because he's not even Protestant. If he's not even Protestant, he shouldn't be in the pulpit in the first place. It just doesn't make any sense. You can't have a person behind the pulpit that is not a Protestant in a Protestant congregation. That doesn't make sense at all. That's not sensible. You give me a break, Anyway, we decide for this book a very large circulation. It is very we decide for this book a very large circulation. It is very opportune Just at this crisis, everything civil, moral, religious, all of our birthrights are assailed by every advance of this mammoth superstition in our beloved and happy land. And idolatry and the superstition which have spread darkness, error, delusion, and misery over the fairest portion of this earth prevented the conversion of the world and built its fortunes by every species of violence, war, perfidy. I don't know what perfidy is, see what that is, perfidy. Perfidy, betrayal, okay.
Perfidy.
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 Perfidy, perfidy,
Perfidy.
perfidy, 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 betrayal, disloyalty, no, okay. Okay. Perfidy and persecution upon the ruins of man's best and dearest rights. When you read when Jesus is saying something and you look into history and the Bible as well, you just see all these things that Jesus, it's just point, it's laid out in history that has been hidden away from us. It's just all those puzzles just laying down and pointing you in one direction. Ever heard the saying, all roads leads to Rome? It's true. All roads leads to Rome. Anyway, and idolatry and the superstition which have spread darkness, error, delusion, and misery over the fairest portion of this earth, prevented the conversion of the world and built its fortunes by every species of violence, war, perfidy, and persecution upon the ruins of man's best and dearest rights of personal liberty, life, and happiness. It is only necessary to enlighten this community in the true spirit and character of the Poobal system to secure them against its insidious attacks upon everything we as a people hold dear and sacred. Let everyone who buys this work communicate freely to all around him the developments which it reveals and the facts which it records. Alexander Campbell. Okay, from the Christian Secretary Hartford. Dowling's History of Romanism. Having given this book a pretty thorough examination, we are prepared to speak of its merits. The volume contains nearly 700 pages and is divided into 9 books as follows: Poobery in embryo, Poobery at its birth, Poobery advancing, Poobery in its glory, Poobery the world's despot, Poobery on the tottering throne, Poobery at Trent, and Poobery drunk with the blood of the saints. Poobery in its dotage. I'm not sure what dotage is. There's a lot of big words. But anyway, you get the part, right? Mental infirmity as a consequence of old age. Okay, sometimes shown by foolish unusual, extravagant passion, love, or admiration. Okay. Anyway, okay. The author commences with the earliest corruptions of Christianity and traces Poobery from its rise to its full devilment in 606 under Pope Boniface. And again, I can't remember. I think there's some that have another date in regards of it. So, but around 606, it's like, I haven't looked into it myself in regards to totally putting it into stone and all that, but it's actually a great saying because, biblical, God was writing in stone the 10 Commandments. And of course, apparently the 10 Commandments are apparently not 10 Commandments, they're actually not even 9 Commandments. Now, they're not even 8 Commandments, right? Just, throw away the commandments that is written in stone by the very finger of Jehovah. Yeah, well, just throw them out, right? Fourth commandment thrown out. No, actually not thrown out. It's just changed, right? Because this filthy pagan bullshit system thinks it has the authority to change something that God wrote with his finger in stone. And of course, then just remove the commandment in regards of idols, right? And then just, then just split one of the commandments into two, and there you go, just, oh wow, there's just one depravity after another. And anyone wanting to defend this system is just a bullshitter, Anyway, you have to find out who is speaking the truth, You have to figure out who is telling the truth and who is lying. You have to test things for yourself because no one will do it for you, and there's a lot of bullshitters out there. And they look like the real thing. Actually, they might actually look better than the real ones, But then, of course, you investigate into it and you figure out, there's some problems, Anyway, the author commences. So that's apparently the 9 books that is found in this book. I haven't really gone deeper into it. It's nice to get some more forming of the book and understanding that, it's how it's spelled up and all that. Anyway, the author commences with the earliest corruptions of Christianity and traces popery from its rising to its full development in 606 under Pope Boniface. And from hence down to the present time, we do not see how Mr. Dowling or any other author could condense a history of Romanism, fruitful as it is of deeds of darkness, fruitful as it is of deeds of darkness and of blood. You remember what Jesus said? This is full of, Jesus said, no, the tree by its fruit. So anyway, so fruitful as it is of deeds of darkness and of blood into a smaller compass, and still exhibit all its odious, stinking, filthy depravity features in so striking a light, Anyway, Mr. Dowling has done good service to the cause of evangelical truth in preparing this volume for the press, a task that must have cost him immense labor and research, and we should be glad to have a copy of it placed in the hands of every family in the country, for it would serve as an excellent barrier against the vials of Romanism with which we are already too plentifully supplied. Yep. Anyway, so from the American Review Quarterly, New York, this book in a compass of nearly 700 pages present a fuller account of the rise and progress, the picturesque. Let's try to see if we can get a little more information on that. No, we'll just do that and try again. Ooh, picture.
Picturesque.
Yeah, you have to really wonder in regards to the written, how they write it and how they, put picturesque. A suggestion are suitable for a picture pretty as a picture, picturesque, village, beautiful, striking, impressive, derived from, okay, whatever. So picturesque and terrible history. I guess a picture and terrible of the, I don't know. Picturesque and terrible history, I think in regards of how it, the whole picture of it. Anyway, of its terrible history. Anyway, of the ghostly power of Rome, then has yet been given to Protestant readers in this country. And then we have these 4 stars. I don't know why they... Anyway, of her general persecutions, her superstitions, her gorgeous ceremonials, it is the most complete, It is again, we have these drunken letters, the most complete and vivid memorial we have seen. And you can't see my, I'm flinging my arm around here. But anyway, it's not widescreen, so that's would actually have been nice if it actually could have gone into widescreen. But anyway, so persecutions, her superstitions, so of her general persecutions, her superstitions, and her, the mother whore and harlot of Rome. It's like, in our days, like, oh, this and that and whatever, and we don't know much about it. Hey, let's shoot the 70 weeks of the book of Daniel into the future, 2,000 years, even if Jesus is said to be cut off in the middle of the week. Well, let's just ignore that and just shoot it 2,000 years into the future, right? And in regards to this world power coming after, the Grecian Empire, in regards to the 4 heads and all that, let's just shoot that into the future as well, and just close our eyes that Rome came after the Grecian empires. Let's just do that, right? Let's just bullshit us, give me a break. Full of nasty bullshitters everywhere, Follow the Bible, stay with the Bible, and look at real history. And it just matches up, Anyway, that's incredible. Anyway, of her general persecutions, her superstitions, her gorgeous ceremonials, it is the most complete and vivid memorial we have seen. It is also embellished with a great number of engravings executed with much effect. 4 editions, we understand, have been sold, and the work will undoubtedly found an interest into many thousand families. And at this point, we are on the 7th edition. So yeah, anyway. So from the Palo, I don't know, Palo, yeah, let's see here. Let's see what it says. Palo. Parlor, a room in a private shop or business. I don't know. Parlor. Elsewhere, parlor. Anyway, whatever. From the Parlor magazine, New York. Dowling's History of Romanism, the most elegant book in point of typographical and mechanical beauty, which the last month has laid on our table, is the History of Romanism. That's interesting, right? For example, if we have a movie, like, it's just for a couple of hours, right? There's not really much, many times it's just, the Roman theater running on the the screen, right? Nothing of real, just pagan bullshit mostly, right? Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and what is the other show that is very popular with a lot of killing and a lot of sexual sin and witchcraft and all that? I can't remember. Anyway, very popular apparently. This is the bullshit box of the Roman theater to keep people occupied with nonsense and promoting satanic bullshit. Do we want to hear about the truth? Nay, we don't want to hear about the truth. Anyway, let's go on. We just want to be filled with disgusting bullshit. And then we go out and fill the world with disgusting bullshit. Anyway, and nonsense. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, Dowling's History of Romanism, the most elegant book in point of typographical and mechanical beauty, which the last month has laid on our table, is the history of Romanism. From the earliest corruptions of Christianity to the present times, with full chronological tables, analytical and alphabetical indexes and glossary. Wow, They're really into these things, that's for sure. That's not something that you hear much about in our days, it seems, Illustrated by numerous accurate and highly finished engravings of its ceremonies and superstition, persecutions, and historical incidents. By Brother John Dowling, A.M. Not sure what A.M. means, but anyway. It is published by Edward Walker, who is entitled to great commendation for the style in which it is brought out. The want of such a work as this has been often felt, for while we have abundantly supplied with books on Popery, and they are also very elaborate and voluminous histories of elaborate and voluminous. Okay, supplied with books on Popery, and they are also very elaborate and voluminous. Let's see here, voluminous.
Voluminous.
Voluminous, large in volume or bulk. Yeah, okay. Voluminous. So we have voluminous. Elaborate. I think we'll just check that word as well. Just elaborate. Elaborate, marked by complexity and richness of detail. Elaborate, so, and they're also very elaborate and voluminous. I can't even remember how to say it this time. Again, voluminous histories of Romanism. There has been no work of convenient size, of sufficient comprehensiveness, and so arranged as to furnish in regards, I guess, like furnishing a room, But anyway, I guess the idea must come from that. I'm not, furnish a room, empty room and all that with things, right? To furnish something that has been, an empty place, Anyway, furnish the general reader with a concise, lucid, and graphic view of the greatest system of error and imposture which the world ever saw. Imposture? Let's see, imposture. I see if I get this right. Pretending.
Imposture.
Error and imposture which the world ever saw. Yeah, it's the Antichrist, Mr. Dowling, or Brother Dowling, has availed himself freely of the valuable labors of others and has made a book which we trust will be widely circulated and greatly useful in this land and day of ours. We must add it that the engravings in this volume are among the best specimens of wood engraving we ever saw. They are by Lossing, and that's apparently a guy, So anyway, I guess he's the guy making them. From the Montreal Register, edited by so-called Reverend Dr. Graham, president of the Baptist College of Montreal and author of the History of the Council of Trent, Reformation in Europe, and so on and company. I'm not sure, and company and so on. Nah, not entirely sure. If anyone knows, write down below, and so on, or at company. I don't know if it helps if I try to go and see if there's anything. Whoa. Nope. No, nothing, it seems. Okay. We close this list of testimonials with the following, partly because of the high character of the writer as a faithful Protestant historian, and partly on account of the brief but comprehensive account of the contents of each of the 9 books of the History of Romanism. Now, those 9 books is fixed into the 1 volume. Anyway, so we have just received a copy of this important work, but have not been able to give it the attention which it demands. Cursory, that was that thing that meant something in regards of, let's see, cursory, hasty and without attention to detail, not sure. I think the word must mean some, something else, but a cursory inspection, I guess, a quick inspection, however, has convinced us that it possesses merits of the high order. We are pleased to see that Mr. Dowling, or Brother Dowling, furnishes amply references to his authorities. It is our intention to furnish a full review in our next number. Meanwhile, we beg to assure our friends in Montreal that they may give their names to the agent without hesitation. $3 will be well laid out in buying a copy of this book. So apparently it also costs $3. I think that was advertising for something else. That was also $3, I think. As I understand it, it was not the same book. It was an advertising for something else. Anyway, so from the next number of the same page, so from the next number of the same paper, sorry. So this is so it is a paper, you know. So from the next number of the same paper, in proceeding to give an account of this work agreeably to our promise, we will transcribe the titles of the various books into which is divided and state their contents. Book 1, Popery in Embryo, from the earliest corruptions of Christianity to Papal or Pupil Supremacy, AD 606. Having explained the spiritual nature and objects of Christianity, Mr. Dowling, or Brother Dowling, shows that its corruptions were foreseen and predicted even in apostolic times. So, having explained the spiritual nature and objects of Christianity, Mr. Dowling shows that its corruptions were foreseen and predicted even in apostolic times. You see, the Christians already, they knew from the first century, it seems we have, well, actually, it is from the first century, because we already have prophecies about this from the the New Testament and all that. And then we have sources on what is going to come about and so forward. So it's actually the last, I guess, 2,000 years, people have pointed in the very same direction, and it's only in this last couple of generations that who I guess I wonder who it could be. Let's see. No, couldn't be that white guy that sets himself up as the King of Kings and having 3 crowns and taking all the titles of God upon himself and all that, and setting himself up as the ruler of the whole entire world in both spiritual and political matters. Couldn't be that. It has to be someone else. Let's see, Obama, maybe the new president, what's it called? I can't even remember. The doc, I can't remember what he's called there. Anyway, or maybe the Mohammedans, or Muhammad, or whatever, whatever, everything goes. Everything goes. Except the papacy. So everything goes except the papacy. It's just incredible. And all has pointed at, just from the very, from the birth of Christianity, in regards of believing in Jesus being God Almighty and dying for the sins of the world and resurrecting from the dead 3 days and 3 nights later and so forward. From that very conception, where Jesus enters the world and all that, it has been promoted who it is, who that enemy is, because God told us who our enemy is. He pointed to it on so many levels. Anyway. Literary notices of Dowling's History of Romanism. Yeah, okay. So it's having explained the spiritual nature and objects of Christianity, Mr. Dowling shows that its corruptions were foreseen and predicted even in apostolic times. He then describes the changes that took place soon after the ascension of Constantine, and traces the usurpation. And by the way, Constantine was the high pagan priest of Pontifex Maximus. Do you know who have the title of Pontifex Maximus today? All roads leads to Rome, okay? That was a little help, okay? The papacy, okay? And what was Constantine in regards to Pontifex Maximus? The high pagan priest of what? Sol Invictus. Now, who is Sol Invictus? Well, that's the unconquerable sun god, the sun god, It's sun worship. It's all in your face, Sunday. Christ Mass in regards of the high pagan festival of the birth of the sun, the sun. Easter in regards of Inanna, the Queen of Heaven, as far as I can see. Easter or, Inanna in regards of, many other names and all that, just Same, or Astaroth, or whatever you want to call that nonsense. Queen of Heaven. Gotta be kidding me. Yeah. Here they call the Queen of Heaven Mary. Yeah. And they say she's an everlasting virgin and was born without sin and taken to heaven and give me a break. Anyway, let's go forward here. You just get to a point where it's just you get fed up. I guess it's just liars, deceivers, wolves in sheep clothing, bullshitters, all of you. That's what I think that's pretty. That's honest talk, because that's what you are. Anyway, Roman Catholicism, Romanism, poobery. Oh, anyway, that's here. Children of the devil, worshipping the devil. Yeah, well, I'll see here. Bishop of Rome from Victor to Boniface, Book 2. Poobery at its birth, AD 606. Its doctrinal and ritual character of this epoch, I guess in regards to age or something like that, would probably be. Let's see here if it. Nope, it doesn't want to. Epoch. Let's try again. Epoch. There we go. Epoch, a period marked by a distinctive character or reckoned from a fixed point or event. Epoch.
Epoch.
Okay, epoch. The origin of Rome's errors is the subject of the second book. So I guess they have a little in regards of... okay, so the first one is in regards of... Okay, so let's see. Let's try that again. Okay, so Book 1, Poobery in Embryo, from the earliest corruptions of Christianity to the Poobal Supremacy, AD 606. Again, I think Jörg and Tom has different dating. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, still around 606. So, and that's interesting because in 606 where it gets its supreme power and some, still, growing in some sense. But, in regards of world rule. But anyway, but we also have Mohammedans. And you have one half of the Roman Empire being taken over by the papacy. And then you have the other half being taken by the Mohammedans, Of course, and it seems like it's two sides of the same wicked coin, Of course, Rome is the head. Now, Alberto Rivera talked about that, and he's apparently not the only one out there that talks about that Rome actually created the Mohammedans, and it would actually make sense, but I don't have any solid evidence for but there's so many things, Romanism and Mohammedanism is so much alike. Although it looks differently, but there's so many things that they both have alike. And of course, Rome and the Eastern Empire, in regards of Constantine, I can't remember what it's called, Constantine, no, Constantinius, the city, and there was a conflict in regards of the bishop in Rome compared to the bishop of Constantinius or something like that. I can't remember how it's said. Anyway, so, and there's actually a letter from the bishop in Rome to the bishop of Constantinius in regards of him, if he takes the universal title, universal bishop and all that he either is a forerunner for the Antichrist or the Antichrist. It's actually a letter of a lot of truth, yet who has the universal bishop title today? The papacy! Yeah, you got that right. Anyway, any case, so it would be what do you call it, to advance the Bishop of Rome if the Bishop of Rome could get the Eastern Empire away, It was a problem for his, authority, right? So anyway, so it makes sense that, if that was any case, wouldn't be a surprise, absolutely no surprise. But anyway, that's something I need to further investigate, but it just seems to be more and more things that actually seems to match up on it, on that it seemingly seems to be true, that makes sense historically in regards of Mohammedanism and Roman Catholicism. There's so many things. They both hate the truth. They both have a false version of Jesus. They both persecute and kill Christians. They both have, wars in regards of crusades or jihad, so-called holy wars and all that. They both twist the scriptures. They and they both believe the same thing in regards of the bullshit nonsense of so-called Mary. They have many things of the same things in regards to that. Isn't that interesting? Both being bullshit. Anyway, you can just go on and on and on and on and on and on. Anyway. So in proceeding to give an account of this, and of course we know who is persecuting the Christians. Well, the whore, of course, she is drunken by the blood of the saints, and she has a lot of children around, right? Yeah. Anyway, so in proceeding, and she's a pagan whore. She's a pagan harlot. She is pagan, even if she takes sheep clothing on and all that, she's still pagan, That's also when I talked to in regards of, he was talking about the beast, but the beast is not in regards of a sheep-like. No, but in regards to the beast, you see how it has Grecian, it has Medo-Persian, and it has in regards to characteristics of the Babylonian. You see the lion head, I think it is. It is the beast is primarily as far as I remember, it's the what do you call it, a leopard or something like that, sorry, no, I'm getting that wrong. Okay, you have a Grecian beast, in regards to the leopard. Then you have feet like a bear, that would be in regards to Medo-Persia, and then you have a face or like a lion, in regards to this beast. Yeah, could it have anything to do, maybe having some characteristics of all these former, rules, Anyway, and then of course we have the false prophet, which apparently seems to be lamb-like. As the translations are really having some, but lamb-like and speaks like a dragon. It speaks like Satan. Deceptive, lying, bullshitting, all that. Anyway, twisting and all that. But it looks like a lamb. Well, if that is the truth, if it looks like a lamb and have two horns and all that, it has to be Christian in nature. That's what a lamb represents, So, do we see that anywhere? I would think that would be the characteristics anyway. So, the false prophet wouldn't even be a Mohammedan. And of course, in regards to the false stinking Muhammad and all that, who is a plain stinking wolf, he's not even hard to spot, It wouldn't be a problem for any Christian reading that Bible, because Muhammad and his followers reject that God has a son. Well, that's a clear stinking wolf, It is not even hard to discern, What is hard to discern is a wolf in sheep clothing. That's hard to discern. That can be at least, anyway. So a stinking wolf like Muhammad, give me a break, Clearly a false prophet, It's not even, it's just. Anyway, let's go on. So book 1, Popery in Embryo, from the earliest corruptions of Christianity to the papal supremacy. And you also have to remember, in regards to taking the beast of the book of Revelation, 7 heads, right? It has 7 heads and 1 is. Well, what was at the point of John? Who was ruling at the time of John? Rome, Rome, Rome your boat down the bloody lake. That's what it is. Anyway, so in regards to the book of Daniel, the 4th beast is Roman, and the Roman beast is there until it gets cast into the lake of fire. Okay? Do you understand that? So when you go to the book of Revelation and there has been 5 heads and the 6th head is, then it's Roman, okay? It's Roman, Roman, Roman. And the next head is Roman as well. Because the Roman beast is there until Jesus destroys it, okay? Is that so hard to understand, to get in your mind? Read the book of Daniel, read the book of Revelation, okay? So we have the 8, which is one of the 7. It's Roman as well. And the city, the whore, rides on all those 7 heads, okay? So she has already been there from the very beginning of the concession of, regards to the Rome. From the Roman kingship to, in all these. Anyway, so, in proceeding to give an account of this work agreeable to our promise, we will transcribe the titles of the various books into which it is divided and state their contents. Book 1, Popery in Embryo, from the earliest corruptions of Christianity to Papal Supremacy, AD 606. I'm just getting tired of the bullshitters out there, that's all, I'm just getting... Could we just stay on truth and not... No, because all the bullshitters out there defending and... it gets tedious and, I guess you are worn a little out. But, it will not change that. I will stand on the truth that I perceive until there's no breath in my body anymore, Everything else is nonsense, We should always stand on truth to the best of our ability. Everything else is, who wants to live a lie? Just to go along, to get along, to get in ecumenical bed with the whore of Revelation, Oh, give me a break, in that stinking, rotten, fungus-filled bed of hers, You think I want to go into that? Full of dead man bones, Anyway. So, having explained the spiritual nature and objects of Christianity, Mr. Downing shows that its corruptions were foreseen and predicted even in apostolic times. Yeah. He then describes the changes that took place soon after the ascension of Constantine and traces the usurpation of the Bishop of Rome from Victor to Boniface. Usurpation. Book 2. Popery at its birth, AD 606. Its doctrinal and ritual character of this epoch. This time. The origin of Rome's errors is the subject of the second book. 70 pages are devoted to it. Conclusive evidence is furnished in support of the assertion that the celibacy of the clergy, the worship of the so-called Virgin Mary, and mongery, what is that? Mongery. Mongery in regards to monks, I guess. Mongery. Yeah, you also have that in paganism in regards to monks going out in the desert and, and whatever. No, okay, let's try to go back. Go back, go back, go back, go back. Mongery, a collection of body of monks, yeah.
Monkery.
Mongery, that worship of the so-called Virgin Mary, mongery and the adoration of saints and relics are not scriptural practices but novelties introduced by carnally minded men. In the 6th chapter, the resemblance between pagan and papal ceremonies is strikingly exhibited in Judais's abridgments. Oh, Judaeus. Let's take that word and have a look at that. Oh, we'll need to go back. Judaeus.
Judicious.
Oh, sorry. Judicious. Heady, wise, prudent, marked by the exercise of good judgment or common sense in practical matters. Judicious. Oh yeah, judicious. I think
Judicious.
Judicious. Something like that. Judicious. So the worship of the so-called Virgin Mary, monkery, and the adoration of saints and relics are not scriptural practices, but novelties introduced by carnally minded men. Well, I guess satanic-inspired men. Children of the devil. Have you seen all those torture things that they created, How could anyone invent those, without being inspired by the devil himself, What disgusting torture, things they just so horrible, and they call themselves Christians? Really? You have to be kidding me. What insanity. Call themselves Christians and can make up these most disgusting things. Just give me a break. And they have the audacity to call themselves Christians and the mother hall. Well, the mother church, Well, it's the mother hall because the mother of Christians are in Jerusalem. That was the first congregation of Christianity, Jerusalem. Let's go on and on and on and on and on. So just look at the book we have in the New Testament. There must be some information that we have lost in history. But anyway, that we can still see a lot of things. Where are they going to settle matters? Are they going to Rome? No. Jerusalem. To James, Yaakov, the brother of Jesus. Would have been one of the little brothers, not the older brothers, as the Roman papists want to tell you, or the SDA for that matter. Because Ellen G. White also promoted this, that it was older brothers. Why do you see anything about that in the Bible, Well, apparently they know better, Just incredible. Really have to be careful, Oh. Now, when let's have some water here. I'm spilling it all over. When Mary was known by her husband, sometimes you become pregnant, and then you have children, There's a little more water over here. That was wonderful. Let's get on with it again. Okay. So where did we go? Okay. So in the 6th chapter, so where's here? By carnally minded men, in the 6th chapter, the resemblance between pagan and papal ceremonies is strikingly exhibited in the judicious abridgment of Dr. Conyers Middleton's celebrated work on the subject. I wonder that's another guy or what in regards of Conyers Middleton's celebrated work on that subject. Book 3. Are we going from book 6 to... No, 6th chapter to book 3. I guess a chapter in the book. Okay. Okay, so we have books, and then we have chapters inside the books, I guess. Okay. So, book 3, Popery Advancing. Advancing from... Okay, there we go. Popery Advancing from... okay, just... Could we just get those... Okay. No. What was that? Whip dictionary lockup. Okay, I guess one can go on the internet. Anyway, okay. So, I haven't tried all the features out in this program, but it seems to be the best application. It does what I wanted to, So, at least it's... I could actually remove all the information from above, actually, in regards of... But of course, then we don't have the page count, which would be nice if it had the page count, just a very small page count up in the right corner when anyway, you never get it how you want it, right? That's just when you're not yourself a programmer, you can't really make any sensible applications and so forward, because that's way out of my league. Anyway, and the programmers apparently don't want to listen much to me, so whatever. He then describes the changes that took place soon after the ascension of Constantine and traces the usurpation of the Bishop of Rome from Victor to Boniface. We already read that. Pagan, and you also see how Rome, they mix Roman Catholicism. You see it again and again, where they mix the Roman Catholicism with the paganism, and as long as they control it, they don't really seem to care. It's of course it's already pagan bullshit. So the devil is just forcing the other pagans into his system, and if they are not going to do that, well, he'll just kill them, right? Anyway, so, and it's really not that much different from their own pagan bullshit anyway, because it is pagan bullshit. So, and again, like Christmas came around in the 4th century. That was a pagan celebration. It is a pagan celebration. In regards to the winter solstice, that's the greatest celebration of the pagans. So what is the greatest celebration that we have in the year? Oh, Christmas. That's right. Christmas. Why would any Christian ever keep that? Well, I guess he wouldn't, But anyway, we are still doing it. A lot of people are deceived, and we have only had like 500 years to read the Bible, people are saying, oh, I read the Bible from cover to cover and all that. So why are you still keeping Christmas? Did you find Christmas any place in that Bible? Did you find Easter any place in that Bible? Did you find the pagan New Year in the winter any place in the Bible? And did you find Halloween in the Bible? Did you find the, and all the rest of the nonsense bullshit, Did you find it in the Bible? Oh, you didn't? Oh, what did you find in the Bible? Those Judaizing things. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Judaizing things. You said God commanded, in regards of the festivals of Passover, 7 days of unleavened bread, in regards of the Pentecost, which would be, in regards of Shavuot, in regards of, I guess I have to figure out in regards of a good word for that anyway, from the Hebrew. But anyway, the Day of Trumpet, at the Day of Atonement, the Festival of Sukkot, does it ring any bells? Do you keep any of these, or do we keep all the pagan bullshit? But you read the Bible, right, from cover to cover, right? And you never wondered why we're keeping nothing of what is found in the Bible. Oh yeah, about the Sabbath, of course, right? The Sabbath is not Sunday. Yeah, but because the Bible also talks about the first day of the week, and which day is it said that the grave was found empty? Oh, Sunday. Oh, okay. So that's the first day of the week. Oh, it says that's in the Bible as well. Oh, 2,000 years Saul, Saul's going back to, Saul's going 2,000 years back. So anyway, it was just, give me a break. Anyway, of course, Jesus wasn't executed on a Friday, because if he was executed on a Friday, he cannot be in the earth 3 days and 3 nights, okay? But of course, Roman bullshit and all that. And of course, if you go the other direction, it doesn't fit either. But of course, people don't go in the other direction because they don't read the Bible in regards to the so-called Old Testament, because that's just old school, right? It's like old newspapers. Who's going to read that? And if they're going to read it, they don't understand it anyway, right? Apparently. We only have 500 years to fix these things. 500 years where we, every citizen, pretty much in Denmark, have the ability to read the Bible. Yeah, only 500 years. Only 500 years, We should be utterly ashamed. Utterly ashamed. And not only Denmark, but many of the other nations out there. 500 years. How much is 500 years? That's a lot, isn't it? And we're still drowning in our own garbage. Of Roman, filthy, pagan, nonsense, bullshit traditions. Okay. Nothing to do with holy days, Oh, you might call it a holy day. So where is it found in the Bible that it's a holy day? Oh yeah, but in regards to the holy days, we're not actually keeping the... Anyway, it's the whole calendar is based on Rome. You know, but Rome does... Well, what calendar are we following? Well, the Roman, Julian, Gregorian, pagan, satanic sun calendar. Yeah, the S-U-N. Is that the calendar used in the Bible? Oh, it's not. Oh. So why are we not actually keeping to the biblical calendar? Maybe because we have someone thinking to change times and laws. You might think that. And who would that be? Oh, the little Roman horn on the Roman beast. Persecuting the saints and those who keep the commandments of God and the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. Anyway, let's go forward here. Just tiring, So, just the disciple should become as his master, right? So what did our master do? Did he keep the law? Woo, he kept it to perfection, right? Anyway, so the origin of Rome's errors is the subject of the second book. 70 pages are devoted to it. Conclusive evidence is furnished in support of the assertion that the celibacy of the clergy, the worship of the so-called Virgin Mary, monkery, and the adoration of saints and relics are not scriptural practices, but novelties introduced by carnally minded satanic bullshit men. Anyway, in the 6th chapter, the resemblance between pagan and pubal ceremonies is strikingly exhibited in the judicious abridgment of Dr. Conyers Middleton's celebrated work on that subject. Book 3, Puberi Advancing. And by the way, if you want some more stories in regards to this bullshit insanity institution and how it does work and all that, just go and read a little of the book of Martyrs, Fox's Book of Martyrs, and listen to what these people are being persecuted for and burned and all that. And of course, Fox, I can't remember what the whole name of the guy, but Fox's, the guy that wrote the book was a Roman Catholic himself, until he found out about these things. Anyway, so he begins to... But anyway, that's another story. I think I've talked about that before. But anyway, not a problem speaking it again and again and again, right? Because apparently the world have no ears to hear anyway. So sometimes you just need to... And of course, it can be a little hard to get all the things into... Anyway, so let's see here. So, Middleton's celebrated work on the subject, book 3. Wait. Okay, subject. So, book 3. And still using Roman numbers, sadly. But anyway, Puberi Advancing from the establishment of the spiritual supremacy, AD 606, to the Pope's temporal sovereignty. And temporal in regards of civil, political power and all that. Sovereignty in regards of kingship, Anyway, let's have sovereignty. So sovereignty in regards of kingship, royal authority, the dominion of a monarch. Well, king. It's just interesting why they always, these words like children that children can understand instead of keeping it on this high, it's just getting, anyway. So, Puberi Advancing from the establishment of the spiritual supremacy, to be supreme over anyone in spiritual matters, in regards of, no, apparently it didn't really, just try again, spiritual supremacy. Power to dominate or defeat, to be the supreme supremacy in both spiritual and political powers. That is that Antichrist. And papal ceremonies is strikingly exhibited in Judaism. Okay. Puberi Advancement, that book 3. Book 3, Puberi Advancing. From the establishment of the spiritual supremacy, AD 606, to the Pope's temporal sovereignty. So he gets AD 756. So it seems like 606 he gets his spiritual supremacy apparently, and his temporal in regards of political, civil power is in regards of AD 756 apparently, according to this. And to the crowning of the Emperor Charlemagne, AD 800. So you see, the so-called King of Kings crowns Charlemagne in 800 AD apparently. So a king crowning another king because he sees himself as the King of Kings, right? So anyway. The progress of the spiritual despotism and the pretending successor of him who said, "Silver and gold have I none," assumed the tiara. What is the tiara? That's a triple crown. Yeah, if you go on YouTube, for example, and you can see him being, I guess, I don't know if, but he's being crowned with a triple crown, and to be the father of kings and princes and all that in Latin and all that. So anyway. So and you can go see that. It's on YouTube, or was at least on YouTube, and see more and more is coming forward because it's just in our days we're getting a lot of information, so people just need to sniff out the truth and then be pointed in the right direction. And because there are people out there looking for the truth, and whatever direction it will take them, they will go. But Satan has deceived a lot of these people and led them astray. But anyway, so we'll just have to help people to get in the right track and point them in the right direction, and do the best that we can do to make some waves out there. Anyway, the progress of the spiritual despotism is still further traced to the time when the Romish bishop became a temporal sovereign or king, and the pretended successor of him who said, "Silver and gold I have none," assumed the tiara because he's the seed of Peter, blah blah blah, nonsense and all that. But anyway, assume the tiara, and we can look up the tiara, and you should be able to find out, if they have the word anyway, that it's a jeweled headdress worn by no. Okay, they're not even talking about in regards to the Antichrist. In regards to that, I guess modern, probably one of my older ones would have information on that. Should we check it out? Well, just to show that I'm not, fooling around with you, right? So let's take this one. That should be, of course, I could also go to the biblical program, but let's, tiara. Of course, it's not going to look it up. I need to tiara. It would be too much for it to automatically look up words, right? Like the main. But it always worked, the other application. Every time it looked up new words, if it wasn't something, it would just look up I never had problems with it before now. So I wonder if it's one of these stupidities of updates that have ruined the application from working as it once did. But anyway, here we go, tiara. The Pope's triple crown. It was at first a round high cap, but was afterward encompassed with a crown, subsequently with a second, and finally a third. Figure the papal dignity. Anyway, so that's, as I understand it, represents in regards to the heavens, and the earth, and the underworld, that he is pretty much the ruler of everything, pretty much. So anyway, the so-called King of Kings, because Satan wants to be like God, right? And if God has multiple crowns, well, Satan wants multiple crowns, right? Anyway, so let's see here. So let's see. So assume the tiara. And you can look it up in regards to what it is. And if you search tiara in Google, I think you will find and look in images. You should have found it should come up with. Anyway, let's go forward here. And receive taxes and tribute. Wasn't there anything in regards of Jesus actually talking about in regards of giving to? Anyway. In this period, image worship was invented. So in this period, image worship was invented. A long controversy followed, but the abomination ultimately prevailed. Because worship, this image worship and all that, and bowing and all that, that is paganism, and it's worship of the devil. It doesn't matter what the statue look like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you are bowing down in front of a tree or whatever you are bowing down for. If you're worshiping something that is not God, you're worshiping the devil. Okay? Doesn't matter what it is. It's the broad way that leads to destruction. So Satan doesn't matter what you worship in regards of other things, It's worshiping the devil, It doesn't matter if it looks like a statue of Jesus, a statue of Mary, or whatever, apparently. But of course, they have many different skin colors and all. They are just bullshit for the fire. Just burn it all. It's very sad to see that the Mohammedans actually are needing to do what the Christians should have done, the proclaimed Christians should have done a long ago. And when you talk to these people, they're just utterly, they're clinging to these things like a fly to a turd, They just cling to it. There's no problem with these things, blah, 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 blah. We're not worship, we're not this, we're not blah, 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 blah. And, it's like, blah. That's what it is. Anyway, that's just fit for the fire, Burn it all. Oh, but they're clinging to it like flies to a turd. They love that turd. They love that stinking, moist turd. And they just cling to it. Anyway, it's very hard to get anything into. People are blind. People worship that golden calf, right? Thinking they worship Jehovah, making a statue, What did God say to that? He became very angry, didn't he? Very, very angry. He was actually, his noses was, spewing out fire pretty much, That's one of the things they use in the Bible in regards of being very, angry, That the nose, Anyway, whatever. He was very, very, very angry. Anyway, let's see. Silver and gold have I none. Assume the tiara and receive taxes and tribute. In this period, image worship was invented. A long controversy followed, but the abomination ultimately prevailed. So I guess it's like a summary of some of the things that Tom Friess remember in regards of thinking back on it. So it's wonderful to know some real history. Okay, so book 4. Popery in its glory, the world's midnight. From the coronation of Charlemagne AD 800 to the beginning of the pontificate of Pope Hildebrand or Gregory the 7th AD 1073. I can't remember, I think it was Gregory the 13th or something like that in regards to the Gregorian calendar. He pretty much, it's pretty much the Julian calendar. It just fixed it a little, Anyway, this book contains an affecting account of the vile forgeries, lying wonders, gross impositions, and ridiculous rites, by which the pretensions of the man of sin were sustained and his influence extended. The exploits of the English saints, Dunstan, who pinched the devil's nose with a pair of red-hot tongs and achieved other wonders, the monkish narration of which are deeply tinged with blasphemy, occupied a conspicuous place here. I don't know in regards to that. Apparently a saint of some kind, whatever. So-called saint, whatever. I don't know, they have all their so-called, some of the saints, and it would be very interesting to actually go through them. I guess maybe some Protestants actually have gone through them, but some of these people are some of the most wicked people in the world. Some of the most fierce enemies of Protestantism has been sainted. Burning Bibles, persecuting, murdering, and snake oil, bullshitters, and so forth. Yeah, let's just saint them, right? I guess I remember thing 4, but I don't have the names. That's a woman, in regards of warring. Was she from France or something? She was burned on the stake and all that, and then afterwards was sainted. It's just, let's burn the heretic, right, and then saint her afterwards, right? Just anyway. And one of the letters to the Hussites are just the most devious, diabolical. She was a Roman Catholic, that's for sure. Oh, anyway. And then of course there's of course Ignatia Loyola, and then of course we have the guy in regards of the Hustashi, and then we have the guy that burned Bibles and in England and all. Anyway, I can't remember the names and all that, but these people are images put up of the Catholics and so forward. It's utterly nonsense. Oh, it's getting really, really hot in here. The sun is burning. Let's get a little up here. At least have a window open because that's really, really hot. So I think if one looked into it, one could find a lot of things in regards to those so-called saints. Oh, I actually have a little fish left. That would be interesting. Anyway, let's have some water here. 2 seconds. Just need to cool a little down here. Wonderful. And the mobile has a little problem, and the camera as well. Typical technology and all that. Let's get to it. So, we'll move that back, and so apparently, okay, so book 5, so let's see, Red Hot Tongues and Achieved Other Wonders, the monkish narration of which are deeply tinged with blasphemy, occupy a conspicuous place here, okay, yeah, so, anyway. Book 5, Popery, the World's Despot. Now, again, what is a despot, right? A tyrannical despot, right? Oh, that took the wrong... Okay, let's try again, despot. I guess it was because, yeah, that's over there. It really has a lot of applications because I have so many. Despot is in regards...
Despot.
A cruel and oppressive dictator. A tyrant. That's what the Antichrist is. That would be in regards to the papacy. Those people kissing the ring of the great bullshitter, the great wolf in sheep clothing, So, book 5, Popery, the World's Despot. The World's Despot. From the accession, I guess. Let's try to just take this word here. No. It's just incredible when programmers are ruining their own applications. You can just get tired of it. Something seems to be going on. It's typical. It's like you get to a point and then, bang, then they just ruin the applications, Anyway, accession. A process of increasing by addition as to a collection or group. Or the civil law, the right to all that which your property produces, whether by growth or the right to all of that which your property produces, whether by growth or improvement. And number 3, something added to what you already have. I guess might be accession. Okay. So accession from the accession of Pope Gregory the 7th, AD 1073, to the death of Boniface the 8th, AD 1303. A wide field is before the historian in this division of his work. The lives of those paragons of pride and cruelty. Paragons, that's an interesting word. I think I've heard about that before, but not sure. Paragons is okay. An ideal instance, a perfect embodiment of a concept, model of excellence, of perfection of a kind, one having no equal. Okay.
Paragon.
Oh, I didn't close it down. I should have closed it down because then, for it to work. Again, I don't know why, because I haven't had that problem before where I needed to close it down every time. So I don't know if it's only in this program. I have to test it and maybe try to install an older version and see if it still have the problem. And actually, I should end up renewing the mobile itself, but the problem is I haven't dared to do that because there's a lot of things, still, and it would be nice with a second mobile so I could actually fix that before so I could fix that mobile and fix all the things and all that, and then resetting this mobile. Anyway. So, let's see here, from the accession of Pope Gregory the 7th, AD 1073, to the death of Boniface 8, AD 1303, a wide field is before the historian in this division of his work. The lives of those paragons of pride, of those that excels in pride, I guess, or something like that, and cruelty. Wasn't that paragons in regards of something that, let's see here, excels or something like that. Ideal perfection, okay, perfection in, so those perfectionists of pride and cruelty, or paragons, popes, Gregory the 7th, Innocent the 3rd. Yeah, they love to have those titles, right? Innocent the 3rd. And Boniface the 8th, the story of the Crusades. The pranks of Thomas A. Becket, the unparalleled sufferings of the Albigenses and Waldenses, inflicted by Papal command. The establishment of the Mendicant orders, I guess that might have been in regards of sending after, I don't know, let's see here. No. But that was interesting. But anyway, and the establishment of Mendicant orders, the wars of the Skulls and Ghibellines or something like that, together with numerous additions to the burdensome ritual of the enthralled church, furnish topics which the author has treated with his accustomed skill. Book 6, Popery on a Tottering Throne. From the death of Boniface the 8th, AD 1303, to the commencement of the Council of Trent, AD 1545, and that's the Council of Trent, and the same year where Martin Luther, released his book, apparently on the very same day at the opening of the Council of Trent, in regards of against the Roman papacy and institution of the devil. Now, Martin Luther died in 1546, so this is in his late years, which also is a thing when Roman Catholics tries to pull out their bullshit and nonsense and all that and quote Luther and all that. Remember to find out when is this quoted from, because you don't expect Luther to know everything and anything from the beginning, do you? He has been growing up as a Roman Catholic all his life. You don't expect him to just get all the leaven out, in one single day, do you? You know. Anyway, so he had his problems, you know. But you have to remember, he had been in this Roman Catholic nonsense system. He had grown up with it, and so had many others. You know, that was so a lot of the Protestants, the first Protestants, well, and actually further going on, was former Roman Catholics. So when they come with that snake oil poison to try to sow doubt and this and that and all that, just wipe them off, you know. Just you know, they full of snake oil. That's what they are. Catholics are full of snake oil poison. Anyway, so to the commencement of the Council of Trent, AD 1545, the throne seemed to totter during this period, and some expected to see it fall. So apparently totter in regards of it's you know, failing, I guess. You know, move without being stable, as if threatening to fall. Yeah.
Totter.
Totter, work unsteadily, yeah. Move unsteadily with a rocking motion and all that, yep. So they really gave a huge blow to this system of Satan, and even with all the faults of Martin Luther, he also did some really good things, you know. He stood against this whole system of this wicked bullshit system, and he could just have been burned on the stake, you know, pretty much. Yeah. So he put his life on the line, you know. But of course he absolutely did some things that he would probably have burned me as a heretic, you know, if I had lived at that time. But that's not said that I don't recognize what he actually did for us. But I think that he might have, you know, seen, you know, but anyway, like Andreas Karlstadt, he sadly had a lot of negativity in regards to Andreas Karlstadt. Anyway, so Andreas Karlstadt is one of these Protestants who was forgotten, and actually he was the professor of Martin Luther, three professor titles, and he was actually running the protest when Luther was away. And Luther comes back and he pretty much takes over with a sadly snake oil talk, because he says, you know, it's right what they have done in regards to Andreas Karlstadt and the others, but that's the but, you know, and I would like to look more into that. But of course I could, you know, use a lot of time on that. I could just stand for the truth, right, and fix the issues we have, or try to promote the truth so we can get the fix, you know. So anyway, but there's a lot of history there for sure, and he was called a radical, and that's not a bad thing to be a radical, is it? You know, apparently people think it's a bad thing to be called a radical. You know, you have to be kidding me. Anyway, so but he has been slandered by the Lutherans, and his history has been, you know, pretty much. And he was already in his own days. They were censoring him. So, any case, he was. Yeah, you can go and read about Andreas Karlstadt for yourself. Just be aware there's a lot of attacks on him as well. Anyway, the throne seemed to totter during the period, and some expected to see it fall. By the residents of the popes at Avignon and the Great Western Schism, anti-Christian influence was considerably weakened. Considerably weakened. The efforts of John Wycliffe, of John Wycliffe and Jan Hus. I don't know why they write John Hus. John Wycliffe and Jan Hus and Jerome of Prague And I think Jerome and John Huss was burned together by the Roman Catholic Insanity Institution, but I'm still a little uncertain. Anyway, I have, something more to look into. Followed by the revival of learning inflicted serious wounds on the papacy. John Wycliffe is known as the morning star of the Reformation, So John Huss got his... got a lot of was reading John Wycliffe's books and documents, and well, they ended up burning him, and Jerome apparently as well. Anyway, Luther and his zealous coadjutors aimed a deadly blow. Yet notwithstanding these disastrous events, popery continued to exist and even regained strength. See if we can get that sun away here. Now that's not going to work. The sun is still there. But anyway, Luther and his zealous coadjutors aimed a deadly blow. Yet notwithstanding these disastrous events, popery continued to exist and even regained strength. To this, the establishment of the order of the Jesuits in 1540 very materially contributed. I thought they actually were. Okay. 1540, yeah, and we have 1545 in regards to. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense in regards to them actually. So who are the Jesuits? Well, we don't know who the Jesuits is, do we? The Jesuits are the special soldiers of Satan to try to regain for the Antichrist what he lost. And they're still working in our days. And do we know anything about it? Nope, we don't know anything about that anymore. And yet, they are still out there, and they are hewing rope for Satan very, very quickly. Anyway, so book 567, Popery of Trent, from the opening session of the Council of Trent, AD 1545, to the closing session, AD 1563. The Council of Trent was an infamous cheat on the world. This abridgment of its history is a fair exposure of the cheat. And book 5678, so book 8. Popery drunk with the blood of the saints. Persecutions of popery, to this revocation of the Edict of Nantes, AD 1685. Harrowing details. Harrowing. That's interesting. Let's try that. See if we can find that. So extremely painful.
Harrowing.
Harrowing. Agonizing, excruciating, torturesome, torturing, torturous, painful. Okay, so harrowing details of persecution comprising the history of the English martyrs of the Inquisition. Yeah, the so-called Holy Inquisition, right? Of the sufferings of the Waldenses, of the massacre of Saint Bartholomew, and of the revocation of the Edict of Nantes are contained in this book. And anyway, so book 9, Popery in its dotage. And I can't. That was in regards of his old age or something like that. From the revocation of the Edict of Nantes, AD 1685, to the present time, AD 1845. The history of the Jesuits is sketched, and various facts are adduced. I think let's see, yeah. Adduced. Advanced evidence for.
Abuse.
Adduced. Oh, let's look close this. And adduced, showing the popery is unchanging. The volume closes with a statement of the present position and zealous effort of the Romish Church. This work is admirably adapted to revive true Protestant feeling and excite the dormant zeal of the churches. The matter is well arranged, the facts unquestionable, the style lucid, and the spirit Catholic in the proper sense of the term. Its extensive circulation will be highly advantageous to Protestantism. To revive true Protestant feeling. So we lost what we knew and we didn't understand things anymore. So I guess we'll stop there. That sounds like a pretty good place to stop it for now. And I'll just look and see if there's anything else in this book that we would want to read in regards of things. I don't think there's more in this book. And we'll then go to some of the newer editions of this book. I don't know if I need to do more research on if there's more versions of this book. There seems to be on this webpage. So I might need to look into them maybe and see if there's something more. But anyway, I still have some versions here that we're going to go through. Some of the same things are probably found in regards to these testimonies is probably found in some of the newer versions as well. So we don't need to reread those, of course. So that was pretty much it. I think we got through all the testimonies on this book on Romanism, and just to get an idea of Romanism overall. Or get an idea of the book in regards of and of course in regards of how they perceive things in that time. So wow, that's really going. The sun is really heavy now at the moment. Maybe I should do some sunning, laying down and relaxing in the sun. Although there are a good amount of clouds out there, so you never know if it goes away. You can open the doors, right, and then out of nowhere it will just be gone. Anyway, let's fix the doors here so they don't. There we go. And I guess I'll fix a little more food as well. Getting a little hungry, I guess, again. So yeah, and then I guess I'll go with another one afterwards. Hopefully, I know there's some other information that will be interesting to read up on. In regards to where they mention the Fox's Book of Martyrs and this book together, and that's nice to get some secondary, some sources of other things, and the Fox's Book of Martyrs that was one of the what do you call it, the big works that anyway, so that's pretty much it, I guess. I think I'll stop it here. May Jehovah be with you, and Yeshua be a most precious pearl, and the spirit of truth be in us all. Amen. Let's stand for some truth, That's much needed in this stinking world, of depravity everywhere. It's very, very sad. Anyway, have a good one. Let's see if we can stop it.